in quick succession. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I trust that as we look at the topic, regulation of the downstream oil sector in Nigeria, what it means in reality, we will have a great time together. First off, ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor to recognize and appreciate the presence of the Chairman House Committee on Nigerian Content, Development and Monitoring. He is none other than the member of the Federal House of Representatives.
Good afternoon, panelists. Good afternoon.
All right, great. Is none other than the member of Federal House of Representatives representing the Kwara, Obanliku, and Ubudu constituency. I speak of none other than Right Honorable Barrister Lego Idagbo. Round of applause. Virtual, of course. All right, thank you, sir. You're most welcome.
Passionate response. At this stage, we'd like to invite the Chairman House Committee on Nigeria Content, Right Honorable Lego Idagbo, to please respond. And our question to you is, what will you consider to be the impact of the regulation of the downstream sector on the continued growth of Nigerian content, in the sector? Again, this links very closely to the issues that we have been discussing, because we know many investors have said to us, or said in the past, that to the extent that we continue to operate a regulated regime in the downstream sector, then the attractiveness for external investment will be low. So how do you see the impact of the regulation on the downstream sector? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Chris. Let me commend all the speakers before me. I've been listening to the conversations. It's been very interesting. I almost forgot that I was going to take part. Finally called on me. But I want to say that just to align myself with some of the speakers before me, I listened with rapt attention to the gentleman, Morman, I think Tunji, and I would like to agree with him that the time has come where we should stop playing gallery and begin to deal with the issues and begin to look at how we get ourselves out of where we have found ourselves today. It's not enough to ask questions like how did we get here and what led us to getting here. We should begin to profile solutions to getting out of where we are. There is no way we can continue with this subsidy regime, going from the kind of money we are spending as a nation on fuel subsidy and then considering other sectors of the economy that are in dire need of improvement. So we need to begin to look and think of how we can begin to repair Nigeria. Subsidy is not sustainable. There is no way, with Nigeria being the way it is, we can continue in this subsidy regime. Deregulation is a very good thing, but I think that the question is asked that why don't we fix our refineries before we deregulate? And I would want to say that that's like putting the cart before the horse. Because if you fix the refineries before you deregulate, how are these refineries going to be viable? The refineries itself should be market driven. We have investors that can come into Nigeria and build refineries in Nigeria if they see for a fact that indeed they will make profit on the investment. And then local content can come in, because local content thrives when investments come into the country. Refineries must not be built by Nigerians. I know that yes, Dangote is building one of the biggest refineries in the world in Nigeria today, but Dangote's refinery is an export refinery. It's located in the free trade zone. So he's going to be buying crude oil at international prices, refining it and selling it across the world. Yes, Nigeria stands to benefit from Dangote's refinery, but indeed we need to deregulate. It's only when we remove this subsidy and begin to say, okay, interesting to come and invest in refining. So you buy the crude here, you refine it here, and you sell it to the large market that we have. And then Nigerians can begin to take part in some of these modular refineries, partner with people and build refineries. I like the model of Walter Smith Refinery, which NCDMB partnered with them in developing. That refinery has a capacity of, I think, 5,000 barrels of crude daily, which is good, but I know that they want to upscale it to even 10,000 and beyond. So these are models that we should encourage. And I think we should move beyond our comfort zone of saying prices of petrol need to be cheap for Nigerians to survive. That to me is a fallacy, because we're going to look at Nigeria 10 years from now, 20 years from now. What will our children come to face? Which kind of country 20 years from now will our children come to face? So we need to begin to think outside the box. And I think we need the cooperation of NLC. I like this engagement. I believe that NLC needs to engage more with us so that they can see reasons. I respect the views of the gentleman from NLC. Yes, he has Nigerians' interest to protect, but we must put reason in front of us and do the maths. If the figures don't add up, if we continue like this, we need to change tactics. You can't continue doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. For us in the National Assembly, it's our belief that with a deregulated market, it will help Nigerians more. Nigerians will take part in the process of refining crude oil. The prices will be driven by market value. The market will drive the prices, so you don't fix prices. Again, when people say that after all, crude AGO has been deregulated, why did the prices not go down? The arguments here are still the same, because you have a deregulated market for AGO, for kerosene, for gas. But again, who are the people bringing the products in? NNPC still brings in these products because NNPC has access to Forex. The ordinary Nigerian hardly has access to Forex the way NNPC does. So they still bring in these products and they can afford to put the prices. Yes, fine, they put the prices at the going market rate. But I think that if we open up our economy and get Nigerians to have access to Forex, and that can only happen if other sectors of our economy are growing as well, then we can have a balanced market. People can go into these businesses, bring in these products, or refine them locally. And Nigeria, I believe, would be better for it. That to me.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable. I think the points are very well articulated. Part of what you've said is that we need to move on beyond this point. How we got here was important, but it's no longer critical. We need to establish a new path forward on how we're going to deal with the headwind of subsidy. Leading economists have clearly pointed out that continuing this current subsidy regime is not sustainable, and it's going to lead us to the wrong place. Like you also pointed out, there are other aspects, other sectors of the economy that badly requires funding, and we cannot continue to pump all of our resources into providing petroleum subsidy, which on its own is actually skewed towards subsidizing those that are better off in the economy rather than the people that truly need the subsidy. So we really need to come up with new models and new ways of doing things to ensure that our country does not unduly suffer from insufficient funding. You also mentioned that we need to engage with NLC more and work with NLC to reach a landing that is win-win for both parties. That, I believe, cannot be overemphasized. So we'd like to invite Honorable Alego, please, for a roundup.
Thank you very much. I think it's been quite an interesting conversation. In closing, I would just remark that I do understand the position of company for NLC, and I think that it's important that before decisions like this are taken, people are carried along. People need to know what the mitigating factors will be for them, as well as appreciate the decision for taking decisions. So I think we can achieve both of them if we sit on a round table, get NLC adequately involved so that they can pass this message. Even we as representatives of the people need to also take the message back to the people that this fuel subsidy regime is not sustainable. And I think Tunji from Moman mentioned something that I think would be the way to go moving forward, which would be for government to embark on subsidized mass transit. If we start like that and say, okay, government supports mass transit, procures vehicles and all that, subsidizes it. That way, even when you deregulate, the prices of goods and services will not necessarily skyrocket. I think that may be the way to go moving forward. For us in the National Assembly, we are available to pass laws, to embark on legislation that will further strengthen.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That is really good. And I took some notes as the different panelists spoke, different speakers spoke. So I'd like to say a very big thank you to all the speakers. From Mr. Folabi of NUPENG, you summarized by saying that NUPENG, and to some extent, Pengassan is not adverse to regulation, deregulation, but not deregulation that is based on importation. And then you then went on to say that government actions must be taken to cushion the negative impact of deregulation, which also came out in the summary from Tunji and Right Honorable Lego. You also expressed concern about some of the items in the template for calculating pricing, that needs to be looked at. Some of those items are questionable. And you cautioned about the regulation not leading to the creation of a new kind of monopoly that may create adverse effect on the Nigerian economy. So for PPPRO, it's very clear that you advocated and the benefits of the regulation far outweighs the negatives of deregulation. So you also drew our attention to the impact of deregulation on advanced economies. You mentioned a few countries that have tackled the issue of deregulation and successfully done so, and they are all better off for it. And for Moman, there's something you said which was particularly interesting. You said the economics versus the political solution. And I think that's really, we need to look at the economics of deregulation and look at the political dimensions of deregulation and see how we can balance both of them and achieve a win-win. You also mentioned that it's about time we begin to think of where we want to be as a nation going forward. We don't want to get stuck in the past and therefore not become paralyzed in our desire to move forward. So there are choices to be made. And we all have to make those choices in the best interest of the country. There was also the mention about the refineries. Yes, we agree where possible the refineries should work, but most of those refineries today have become obsolete, and particularly, and many of them, the manufacturers are producing the kind of parts or the kind of models that we have here in Nigeria. So steps must be taken. Yeah, I think Adetunji mentioned that steps must be taken to stop the bleeding in our national economy via this subsidy regime. And I thought that was quite powerful. And rounding up, Right Honorable Lego pointed out that people need to know the mitigating factors for deregulation. We need to continue to engage NLC and get the message to the people. And you rounded up by saying that government must support mass transit as a mitigation measure and for deregulation to make this more palatable and acceptable to the good people of Nigeria. And rounding up, you said the National Assembly will be there to make the right laws and regulations to help pave the way for a smooth and effective deregulation. So those are the notes that I took. And on that note, I'd like to thank all the panelists for their very passionate contribution.